Hey guys, I'm all back again. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Galaxy S23 after using this phone for 2 weeks. I've been doing a daily vlog so far, but here is the summary of my experience. Design-wise, you basically get the same thing as the S22 last year. The only biggest difference you can physically see is the camera array. They got rid of the modules around the camera, aligning it with the Ultra model, so it looks consistent across the board. That's pretty much it in terms of what you're going to see for hardware on the outside. But the phone itself is a significant improvement over last year. It is small yet powerful. And as a kicker, I'm even recording this review on the Galaxy S23. And there's a lot you can do with this tiny phone. And in terms of specs, the only thing you really need to know in terms of improvement is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Although it is not the only phone with this processor, the OnePlus 11 and many other high-end Android phone in 2023 will have that chip as well. But the chip itself is a huge upgrade compared to last year. I've noticed significant improvements in terms of performance and especially battery life. When I was using the Galaxy S22, I would always need to charge my phone by 2 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, lasting me 7 or 8 hours of battery life on average. But with the Galaxy S23, I get closer to 13 hours of battery life. Screen on time ranges anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. That may sound like a low number, but you don't really need to stare at your phone for 8 hours a day. It's nice to have 8 hours of screen on time, but it's not necessary. I really do appreciate the standby time on this phone though, which is something that the Galaxy S22 did lack. I even achieved a couple of full all-day battery life with this phone, and this is the first time with any Android devices that I have used, and I have used it a lot. Anywhere from the Galaxy Note to the Ultra, the Flip, the Fold, all the best of the best. But this little guy is the first time I was able to achieve all-day battery life. But in general, if you use your phone a lot, expect it to last anywhere from 10 to 13 hours. And if you barely touch your phone, I find that it drains about 2% an hour. So there was one day I went to bed at 32%, slept 8 hours, woke up at 20%. So if you are a super light user, I can see this phone easily lasting more than a day for you. Me personally, I'm more of a power user, so I average about 13 hours a day. But I did achieve full day battery life on a couple instances when I did not use my phone as much on those particular days. And it's nice to have a phone that can go a full day without having to worry about charging it or looking for my charger all the time. I do drive around a lot, and whenever I'm in the car, I just quickly pop it on a wireless charger, which is super convenient for me. It also serves as my phone mount that I use for navigation, so I just throw it on there, go about my day, and not needing to worry about charging my phone till nighttime has been a great experience. Gaming-wise, does get a little warm on this phone though. It's never to the point that is concerning, but just something minor I did want to point out. I do have 5G turned off and always on display turned on only when notifications come in. But so far, shout out to this phone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and the huge improvements so far. Screen-wise, it has a Full HD display, which is standard at this point. Samsung offers the best of best in terms of smartphone displays, so no need to improve here. To be honest, even if they toss an 8K resolution display on this phone, it's too small to even notice it. So I think we pretty much reached the max in terms of what is necessary on a smartphone. Although on the Ultra model, you can get the Quad HD display. But even when Samsung ship out the Ultra model, they have it set as default to Full HD. It just shows you how much battery the Quad HD display is going to drain. And at the same time, I think most people wouldn't even notice it. Unless you do and you really want to turn it on, you had to go deep into settings and turn on the Quad HD for the Ultra. But for the regular S23, you don't need it. Software-wise, you're getting 4 years of Android support and 5 years of security updates, which is an extra year compared to the Google Pixel 7, which was only offering 3 years. So you plan to keep this phone for the long run, it is the better choice. And one of the benefits of always pre-ordering these Galaxy phone is you do get the storage upgrade for free. So pay $800 for this phone. Typically it comes at a 128GB model, but I did get the 256GB for the same price. Wired charging, it only comes in at 25 watt with no brick included compared to OnePlus 11 and their 100-watt charger. But the battery life is good enough that you may not always need the super fast charging. It would still be nice to have them include the charging brick in the box. Camera, I would say, is just okay. In the past, I've always been one of the biggest fans of Samsung cameras. I've used them for all my videos and even this one as well. But I noticed the photos in this one isn't as good as it's been in the past. When taking pictures of food, the edges tend to be a little blurry and out of focus. Not really sure why. It might be a me problem, but I think they're something else there. I didn't have this problem on the Ultra model or the Pixel, so just something I want to point out there. But I do love all the camera features on this phone. The director's view, you can easily vlog with this phone. And even when recording videos, it is so simple to switch the camera from the main camera to the selfie camera. It sounds really small and intuitive, but that's something that the Pixel does not offer. In the Pixel, you have to stop the camera and then manually switch the camera. It even offers 8K video recording, but no one's going to use it, so I think it's an overkill at this point. I haven't even toggled it on. Don't need it to take up more unnecessary storage, and I might not even notice the difference. $800 is pricey for this phone for a small model that comes in at 6.1 inch. The Pixel 7 costs $600, and you can even get it cheaper these days, and you get a 6.4 inch display. But I do like the One UI and just the Samsung software in general. And one thing that I do want to point out is just turning on Wi-Fi on and off is super simple. Tap Wi-Fi on, Wi-Fi off, and that's it. In the stock Android, like the Google Pixel 7, you have to click on the internet option, and then you can choose between your mobile provider or the Wi-Fi, and then it's just an extra tap, but it's super annoying because I do have to turn off my Wi-Fi here and there, especially if I'm connecting Wi-Fi in the house and I get in the car and I drive away and then my Wi-Fi is still connected to the house. It's just a pain, but for the Samsung it's much easier to do that. And in addition to that, you can even set up routines on this phone, which is pretty cool. So even though Samsung does cost $200 more than the Pixel, it does offer many more bells and whistles that you may not always use, like the 8K video recording. Samsung DeX is pretty cool as well. I used it one time and never touched it again. You can connect it to a monitor and use it as a computer experience. Yeah, and you can even do it wirelessly as well. It wouldn't be the actual DeX experience, but if you have like a Windows computer, you can do a phone link option. It's a lot of cool little things that they do have to offer if you're into connecting your phone directly to your computer. I do really appreciate the Bixby routine option though. For Bixby, you can basically automate certain tasks. For me, I have it set up whenever I walk to my car and it's connected to the Bluetooth. My GPS launches, my music turn on to max volume, Wi-Fi turns off, and do not disturb is turned on, so I don't get people blasting notification while I'm driving in. So all that happens automatically the moment I sit in my car and turn on the engine, which is really cool. And when I go to bed, I have it set to turn on bedtime mode between 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. whenever I wake up. Once I plug my phone in for charging, everything just happens automatically. Occasionally, in the past, if I don't have these routines set up, I get random notification coming in the middle of the night that wakes me up. So just one less thing to worry about. And design-wise with this phone, the camera does stick out a little bit. So if you have it laying flat on the table and you're playing games, it does rock. So just put a case on it if that bothers you. It does have the newest Gorilla Victus 2 glass, so if you were to drop this phone, you do have some protection there. So little things like that, improvements here and there. This is why this phone costs $200 in the Pixel. Fingerprint sensor is a little finicky. It takes me a couple of tries occasionally to unlock it. I know people have told me to register my finger like 3 or 4 times, but the issue is the max finger you can register is 4, and I'm currently registering all 4 of my fingers once. My 2 thumbs and my 2 index finger. I mean, if you're okay with just registering 1 thumb 4 times and that works 100% of the time for you, that's great. But for me, sometimes the phone is on the table. I want to use my index fingers and just tap on it. It's a little awkward to put my thumb on the table. So that's that. I still think the OnePlus have the better fingerprint sensor. For them, it always worked like 90% of the time for me. Compared to the S23, I think it works maybe 60 or 70%. Color-wise, some people may think it is plain, but for me personally, I think it matured over time. I went for the lavender color and I enjoy it over the plain black or whatever other options they have. It's been a nice, pleasant surprise with this phone, and it's basically for people who want a smaller phone, great battery life, and a decent camera. But you already have the Galaxy S22, you can probably skip this phone unless you really want the better battery life and the extra year of software support, I guess. But if you are debating between the S22 at $700 and the S23 at $800, I would recommend getting the S23 just for the better battery life and the extra year of support. I know it doesn't offer the super fast charging speed, but I would argue you might not really need it if the battery life is pretty solid overall. The price is $800. If you're looking for the greatest value I would still settle for the Pixel 7 at $600, especially if you can get it for even cheaper these days. If you're looking for a bargain and don't need all the bells and whistles, I still think the Pixel is a better choice. Samsung comes loaded with so many features like 8K video recording, DeX, and so many things you might not ever use, but it is there. And those do add up in terms of cost over time. So it's just something to consider. But overall, it's been an excellent phone. I love it so far. But this has been my 2 weeks review. Let me know what you guys have been experiencing so far with the Galaxy S23. I'll continue to do my daily vlogs, so make sure to check those out. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.